Hey everyone, it's Amanda with My Life, My Way. Thanks for coming online. We're back, chilling out in my bathroom, drinking a cup of coffee, just waiting to see if anybody's gonna come and join the live while we talk about like our pregnancy and the D&C and my recovery through it and kind of what's been going on and all that kind of stuff. So I usually give about 2 minutes for everybody to kind of log on. So if you're just logging on now and it's later, you can absolutely skip to the 2 minute mark and just skip the whole me saying hi to everybody and everybody introducing themselves. Hey guys, my sister-in-law's online. Hi buddy. Just chilling out, drinking coffee. My cute little medic mug. Isn't that adorable? My husband bought me that for Christmas one year. I'm getting there. I haven't told anybody anything yet, Linnea. I'm going to wait till the 2 minute mark just because I know everybody likes to log in. And I don't want to say it like 50 times. So, yeah, let's go with that. So, hi everybody. Right? Is it not an amazing mug? I don't even know where he got it from. I'm really sorry. He found it on the internet somewhere. Isn't that cute? It's my little paramedic mug. I will get there though, Linnea. I'm sorry. So yeah. Oh my goodness. It's been like, what, a week since I talked to you guys last? Since the last time I was online? I think we knew we were headed for a D&C and it was scheduled for the Thursday last time I talked to you guys. So, yeah. All right. Give it another like 15 seconds. We'll see who pops on and then we'll kind of go from there. Anybody else who comes in late can just figure it out afterwards. You'll have to rewatch the video once. It's not really a big deal. All right. Hold for a second. Okay, so yeah. So if you're logging in because you saw this go up on my Facebook and you're like, what do you mean? I didn't get a chance to even announce that we were pregnant to Facebook. I was going to do it with a video I have of my husband finding out we were pregnant, and by the time I could even get to editing the video, I was on bed rest, we were having complications, and then we lost it. So, whole lot of stuck. So I'm sorry if you're finding out I'm pregnant and finding out we lost and finding out we had D&C kind of all in one go. It was one of those early loss issues, right? It's just super quick. So basically what happened this time around is we had a second blighted ovum in a row. And a blighted ovum means that the sperm and the egg met up, they fertilized, they implanted, they build a sac, which starts the embryo tissue growing. And so like I get a positive pregnancy test and that kind of thing. You haven't missed anything yet, I'm just getting there. So we got positive pregnancy tests, our HCGs were going up, but not quite as fast as they would have expected. And then when we had an early ultrasound it's not even an early ultrasound, we had one at about 7.5 weeks. The earliest it could have been was 7 weeks because my husband works out of town. It's only so many days you can be out by. And there was nothing in the sac. And that's what a blighted ovum is that it builds this sac. It gets, like, you get the pregnancy hormones, you get the mood swings, you cry a lot, your boobs change, all that kind of jazz. And it doesn't build a baby. So this is our second one in a row. This is our third consecutive miscarriage without having a pregnancy in the middle. My husband and I have never had children before. So this time around, we started asking for genetic testing. And that's what I was talking about in my last videos. I was really pushing to see if we could get it genetically tested. Because there's something called a balanced translocation. I'm not going to re-explain it in this video, but you can go back and watch the one from last week. It'll explain what a balanced translocation is, so that you understand kind of what we are, I guess, sort of hoping for in the genetic testing. They did agree to genetically test it, which is awesome. Apparently in Alberta, you have to like fight and scream to get them to genetically test. Like one province over to the west, and they do it all the time, not a big deal, to try and figure out what was causing our losses. Alberta doesn't really do that a whole lot, but they did do it. My own doctor was even my surgeon for the D&C, which was really nice. So yeah, D&Cs, if you've never gone through one and you're looking at having one done, they're really not that bad. Like, it sounds scary, it sounds intimidating, they're gonna knock you out. They basically kind of like go in there and clean everything out, and it sounds super intimidating. This is our second D&C. We actually had one with our first loss as well because I didn't pass it naturally by itself. This D&C, I actually kept everything where it was using medication to prevent it from miscarrying by itself so that we could get the genetic testing done. If you could hear anything weird, by the way, my dog is having an allergy attack out in the other room. The poor guy. We have crazy winds going on and like there's mold and dander moving all over the place. And we don't know what he's allergic to, but it's definitely seasonal. Poor guy. Oh, I think he's done. Are you okay? Yeah. Okay. He's done now. Anyways, so because they did the genetic testing this time, right? My poor Loki. He's 10 years old. He's got all kinds of issues. Yeah, so when we get it started, there's like a regular IV line that goes in. It's right here. She hit it. It was super easy. I was pretty impressed. I'm a hard stick. For people that think that IV lines are super easy, and if you get a nurse that just can't get it in, you're like, oh geez, this woman doesn't even know what she's doing. As somebody that starts IVs and has definitely missed and has definitely made people bleed and has definitely bruised people up before, it's not as easy as it looks to do. When I get it to go in, it looks like a friggin' rock star. Like nothing's wrong, everything's easy. I'm like, done. What you don't know is it's like the first start in 2 months I've managed to actually get in where it needs to go. Sometimes I get on runs where you get like 15 in a row, and then you get on runs that are bad runs and you can't get one for like a good dozen hits. I don't know why. But anyway, so the nurse hit me. It was perfect. It was easy. There's not even a bruise from it. Nothing. While I was under, the anesthetist had to pull a blood sample from me because they're genetically testing this baby. So it's not a usual thing for a D&C. So it's a genetic testing of the embryo. They also need to know who's mom and who's dad, right? So they took my blood. My husband wasn't there. That doesn't really matter because what's not mine in the baby is gonna be my husband's. That's how that works, right? Usually. There's exceptions to every rule, but usually one half is mine, the other half is my husband. So as long as they know what's me, they can rule out the rest of it as being my husband. So the poor guy couldn't get an IV line started to pull the blood sample. Like I said, I'm a crap stick. And then you stop eating at midnight, and my surgery wasn't until 5:30 p.m. the next day, so he probably wasn't actually trying to pull blood until almost 6 p.m. So I haven't had fluids in ages, and I'm a hard stick, well hydrated. This poor guy, I'm covered in bruises. Can you see this one? This is a gooder. I have one on the inside of my arm right here. I've got another one matching on this side, and I have a nice one on the back of this hand that's like pretty pale. Good times. After 4, he just gave up. He's like, I'm not doing it. We're done. And you know what? We all have days like that where you just have to give up. You're like, no, I'm out. The nurse came in the recovery room and I was awake. And I was like, as a heads up, I have a decent one on like the far side of my elbow if you want to try and hit that, because he hit the inside and missed. Slid it into the outside of my elbow. Super easy. Done. Bang. 1 hit. And she was laughing. She's like, I'm going to have to go back and tell him just to, rub it in that he's really having a bad day. I'm like, that's not very nice. This time around, they also knocked me out using propofol, which is a new drug for me. I think last time I was put out with Versed, which is another sedative. Propofol burns. Like, it's in our scope as well. Like, obviously not my scope as a primary care paramedic, but my adult paramedics, the advanced guys that I work with, we carry propofol, I'm pretty sure. We use it during sedation and stuff like that, which is actually why they use propofol on me, because I need to be intubated for surgeries. Because I have ulcer issues and stomach acid problems, so they intubate me as a precaution, because if you have stomach acid issues and you go into surgery and they don't intubate you, what can happen is sometimes that acid like slides up and then slides back down, but sometimes when it slides back down, it goes into your lungs. Not a good place for it to be. So as kind of a precaution, they intubated me the first time. I was well aware they were going to intubate me this time. It's not a problem for me. Go right ahead. But propofol burns, guys. Ooh. Like, I can still feel it in my wrist like 2 days later. We had the D&C, by the way, on Wednesday. We were supposed to have it on Thursday. They've actually bumped it up by a day. We went in on Wednesday instead. Because Wednesday they didn't have anybody on standby, and Thursday there were several. And she's like, if we bump you up by a day, you're the only guy on standby, so it'll be the first one that goes in. Okay, we'll do that. But it burns. It feels like bees, like, stinging you up the arm. It was super uncomfortable. And then I could feel the bees stinging me in the head, and then I was out. It lasted like a half a second probably of being really uncomfortable and not really sure what was going on, because I've never had propofol before. So that was lovely. I also started waking up just at the very end of the surgery, just before they went to go pull the tube. So you got one of two options. You can either give me more drugs and knock me back out again, and then I sleep for forever, or just pull the tube. So the surgery was over. I was already done. They were already getting ready to roll me into the recovery position or into the recovery room. So they just pulled the tube and I gagged on it. Good times. In medical terms, we call that bucking the tube, if you've ever heard that before. And it's where your body rejects the fact that there's a tube in your mouth, especially when they're starting to pull it out. Because it triggers the gag reflex more than just the tube sitting there by itself not doing anything. So I have bruising in the back of my mouth and the back of my throat where I literally clamped up against the tube that was in my airway. It's nothing bad. Like, it didn't tear anything. It didn't do anything crazy. I was pretty sore for a couple of days. If you look in the back of my mouth, you can even see some of the bruising. But it wasn't awful. A friend of mine came over and brought wonton soup for lunch, so thanks, Charlene. And then I reordered myself wonton soup for dinner that night too. And I've been okay ever since. If it gets kind of sore, I just drink something warm, coffee, tea, anything along those lines, and it just kind of like soothes it out a little bit. So it was a little rougher than normal, and I'm just like covered in bruises. It looks like I've been beaten. But the actual D&C itself was totally fine. It was flawless. It was perfect. I don't have any cramping, any bleeding, any pain left over. I bled really mildly for the first day, which is super normal. Sometimes people will spot for like a week, sometimes 10 days afterwards. And I'm done. Like, I'm not even in a pad anymore. Like, it's finished. I'm just waiting for my HCG numbers to drop all the way back to 0. And then my period will start back up again, and we'll be back into a normal cycle. They do ask that you give yourself a month to like let your body come back down. Because as soon as you find out, or your body figures out that it's pregnant, there's so many changes that starts to happen. Your red blood cell count goes up, your plasma count goes up, your hormones are all over the place. There's obvious body changes that happen even early on in pregnancy when you're super early. And your body just needs to like come down and recover from that. So this month we are not trying. We are going to avoid trying, to be honest with you. So there won't be any like oops next month. And it's not an issue for me. I do need a bit of a break anyways, and I'm waiting for the genetic testing to come back. So the genetics should, if it's a balanced translocation, which I talked about in last week's video, should show whether or not it's on my husband's side or on my side. If it's on my side, we're going to try an IVF cycle again. We'll probably actually go back to Prague to do donor eggs. As much as I'd like to do donor eggs here in Canada, like, because the cost is, I think it's 11,000 in Europe, and it's about 15,000 here, as long as you know somebody that's willing to give you eggs, right? If I have a friend that's willing to do it. But it's a lot to ask from a friend. There's drugs, your ovaries swell up to like the size of grapefruits, you can feel them jiggle in your body. Like, I've been through the IVF cycle before. It's not super pleasant, and that was for me. So it's a lot to ask me. There's a lot of me to ask a friend of. I don't think that sentence came out in English. It's a lot to ask of a friend to do for me. I know, Heather, that you'd give me your old eggs, but I don't think that's going to work really well for us. But in Europe, lots of the girls will actually donate by themselves. And in the difference between Europe and Canada, or Europe and the United States, is that Canada and the United States have this theory of like pump them with as much drugs as safely possible to get as many eggs as we can. And in Europe, they try to get away with as little drugs as they can in order to get the results that they're looking for. So you usually get fewer eggs, but they're hoping for better quality ones. That's kind of their basic theory. So they tend to not like suffer from hugely nasty side effects from all the drugs, because there's fewer drugs involved, less chance of like ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome and that kind of stuff. And they're completely anonymous, so you don't even know who it is. You just get a little profile of who they are, and then you go down. To adopt in Canada, if I'm adopting from somebody that's just donating and I don't know them, there is actually no egg bank in Canada, so you can't get them locally. Again, unless like a friend gives you theirs. So we have to ship them in from the States because they have egg banks down there. It's like $18,000 Canadian to do. They only give you 6 eggs. They only promise 4 will make shipping. They only promise 1 will even make it to a blastocyst stage. So you're paying $18,000 plus the cost of the rest of your IVF for maybe 1 chance at this. And that's a lot of money for very, very, very little gain for me. So definitely not something I don't think we would do. If you've made that decision for yourself, I'm not knocking it at all. because everybody's journey is totally different, and all these, like, what do we do next is so personal. My husband and I are kind of pinning our hopes on the fact that it's him, not because, like, I don't want to have my own children, but because he's cheaper to fix. Again, there's no donor bank in Canada, so, like, if we have a friend that's willing to donate to us, you can go down and do the IUIs with your friend's sperm. You can do the old-fashioned way of, like, here's a cup, I'll feed you a beer and dinner afterwards. I'll go do my thing with, like, a needleless syringe in another room, which is a little weird, but can be done. Depends on how close you are as friends. And some paperwork involved. Alleviating them of, like, running any risk of, like, having to come back and, like, be a parent to this baby that's not really theirs. Or you can order them out of the States, and it's about $1,000 a month, from what I remember, to ship in donor sperm, and then the cost of the IUI and the monitoring, which is another $1,000 in Alberta because they privatize that system. So it's about $2,000 a month to do donor sperm. So a little cheaper to fix. That's really the only reason that we want to do it that way. As much as another trip to Europe would be amazing, it'd be nice to just be able to take a trip to Europe. And not have to worry about, like, being in Prague on certain days and blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of where we're at. The recovery is going okay for the DNC. Like I said, a little bit of sore throat, but that's easing off. Lots of bruises. I've been kind of taking it easy the last couple of days. And I've been cross-stitching a lot. And the last time I did a video and I mentioned that I was, like, on basically bed rest with what we thought was just a subchorionic hemorrhage, which it was, but the blooded ovum underneath it made it unviable anyways. One of the guys, I don't remember who it was somebody here that follows me, asked to see what my cross-stitch looks like these days, so I'm going to show you. My mom gave this to me because she started it and then her eyes just aren't good enough to do it. So my mom gave me, there was about this much of a circle with one color, okay? I'd like to show you how large this is. I can't even get it all the way in the shot. This is huge. This tiny little, like, thing right here, this is where she had one color done. Whoop. A little small. She's like, I started it. I looked at it when I got it. I was like, that's a start. It will be this whole Ida cloth by the time it's done. And it's got about 2 inches worth of give on either side. If you're wondering what the corners are, I actually packing tape them. Just so that, because I'm using it a lot and I've been moving it a lot, the little threads on the edge start to come apart. And the packing tape just kind of protects your edges. That's really all it does. I'm still not exactly sure what I'm making because there was no front page photo that came with this. And the pattern's only black and white with no lines. So there's nothing to explain what it is. But I'm pretty sure it's flowers. Which is nice because when I first started it, all I had was, like, this little bit. And I thought I was making a penis. And I wasn't really sure. And I was like, Mom, what did you have me doing in here? I had no idea. I thought she was making me... Look at that. Is that not oddly phallically shaped? When you have zero contacts, that was the first thing that got, like, put in. Because it's right in the middle of this pattern. So which is where you start. What are you making me build for you? But I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be flowers. Which makes me feel a little better about finishing off this massive thing. So this is how it's coming along. I started this... Geez, when did I start this project? Last summer, I think? Still got a long way to go. But at least it's not going to be a penis, so that's super nice. Speaking of, that was a really weird segue. If you have a friend that is having a bachelorette party this year, and you want kind of like a unique but mildly inappropriate gift, I do sell inappropriately shaped bath bombs. They're the same size as, like, the same round ones, the same weight anyways. But they come in all kinds of different scents and different colors. And I'll mail you, 10 dicks in a box, which is hilarious. I'm waiting for the day TSA checks me going through the borders. I do ship internationally. I was laughing when I sent some down to Texas to Heather. I was like, if they check this, this is going to be beautiful. You get the little TSA tag, like, we know what you were doing in there. Somebody got mad and called them a dildo. I was like, they're not a dildo. External use only. You only put it in the tub. You don't do anything else with it. It is not. Don't put it inside anywhere. Okay? And I just put up a thing on our Bath Bombs for Babies page. That's our fundraiser, by the way, for IVF in the future. So if you want to follow along, we're Bath Bombs for Babies, both on Instagram and on Facebook. And we're selling bath bombs. and I just put out the Mother's Day special. It's a dozen bath bombs and a bar of the rose soap I made. Actually, I showed on this channel, I think a little while back, of me making it. It was quite the adventure. It's my very first attempt at soap. But it's like an all-natural goat's milk glycerin soap with like rose essential oil and some pink clay and a little bit of rose petals and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool. So a dozen bath bombs and the bar soap is $20. Or no, sorry, it's $50, and I can't. Yeah, gonna be a good day. I usually sell the bath bombs 5 for $20. This is where the number came from. But yeah, so you get a dozen plus a bar of soap for $50. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's really all I got. I'm recovering well. I'm just kind of taking it easy. Things are a little bit slow. I'm actually from Canada, if you're wondering where I'm from. I'm from if you're from like Western Canada, if you're from around the rest of the world, if you're from the States, I live sort of north of Denver. About 7 hours north of the border between Canada and the United States. North of Montana there, so. Yeah, and we woke up to snow this morning, by the way, for everybody else that lives near me. What happened here? The other day, it was 17 degrees outside. That's like shorts and flip-flop weather. 17 degrees Celsius, for my friends from the States. 17 degrees Celsius is super nice for us for the spring. And I woke up this morning, there was a half an inch of snow on the ground. I was like, what drugs did Mother Nature take today? Or which drugs did she forget to take? Because there's usually 2 answers to every problem, right? Either too many drugs, not nearly enough. Right? I didn't even know. I had no idea. And I just went to go let the dog out, and I was like, what is going on out here today? So I'm not going out today. That's the end of my day. I'm just gonna chill out, drink coffee, cross stitch, probably order some food up. That's about her. So yeah, so I'm just kind of taking it easy. I won't have a whole lot for updates for the next couple of days for you guys, just because there's not really a whole lot kind of going around. But I want to thank you guys for coming on and for following me and for your well wishes and your condolences as well. I'm really sorry for those of you guys that found out via this video that we were even pregnant at all, only to find out that we lost it and you didn't know any of it. I'm so sorry. I was about to share it up on Facebook, and then we lost it, and then I just didn't know what to do after. That's the problem with not telling anybody, is that, you know, when you lose it and then you come about that you're having losses, especially now that we hit the recurrent pregnancy loss box of the 1 in 20. People are like, wait, where did you have a third loss? I'm like, oh yeah. So like this week? Sorry. So I'm really sorry. This is how you found out. That wasn't my intention. I don't know how to tell you guys. So this is kind of where it is. But yeah, I'm just gonna hang out, chill out with my dog, write to you guys. If you want to, absolutely leave me a comment. Write me on Instagram. I'm getting _pregnant, PRAGUENANT on Instagram. Or you can write me through the Bath Bombs for Babies page on Instagram as well. It doesn't matter. I write back to everybody all the time on there. If you want to throw me a personal message, that's totally okay. One other thing I want to do too is I was talking to some friends of mine. And we were talking about how when a friend of yours has a baby, people give them self-care baskets all the time, right? And they have like pads in them, and I don't really know because I've never actually had to put one together, but it's like from people that have like had kids, and then this is what I wish I would have known, and then they give it to somebody else who's just having their first children. And I've even seen there's people now giving like nursing care, personal care baskets for women that are nursing for the first time, and some things and some tips and tricks and devices or materials, I guess, that they wish they would have had. So I put it out to kind of some of the Facebook groups that I'm part of. Like, hey, if somebody was going to put together like a basket to give you because you're going through a miscarriage, what are some of the things you would have wanted to see? And like, I don't think I'm going to start putting together baskets to mail out to people, but I think I want to do a video about what kind of things you could give to a friend that's going through a miscarriage, even if you've never gone through one yourself, just to show them that you love them. What kind of care and support could you give to somebody having a miscarriage? So for those of you guys that follow me, because I know there's a lot of you guys that also have gone through some of the same things I've gone through, if you've gone through a loss, regardless if it was your first one or your 10th one, I don't care. Do me a favor and drop down below what you wish somebody would have brought you, or what you wish somebody would have done for you. Do you wish they would have left you alone? Do you wish they would have thrown you messages? Do you wish they would have like dropped by with a box of tea and a bag of pads and said, here, this is for you. I just wanted you to know I love you, and then have them turn around and leave? Did you want them to be with you? My sister is amazing. Every time we've had a loss, and I mean, we're 3 counting now, she comes over with food, and it's junk. Like, it's this all the awful things, but it's things that we like and we enjoy that are bad for you, that we don't usually eat very often. And she'll come over sometimes with like 3 days worth of unhealthy foods because she's not sure which one I'm gonna want first. Whether it's like Arby's or Little Caesars or whatever. And she comes over with like all of those kind of things, and she just sits there with me, and she puts on a funny movie, and we just sit there. We don't talk much, we don't really discuss a whole lot of things, because sometimes I just need to cry. Sometimes you just need to sit there. And she's been amazing through those losses. And my sister's never even tried to get pregnant before, so she's never had losses, never gone through any of that kind of stuff. And I still thought it was really amazing. But a lot of my other friends, like my brother, doesn't know what to do. He just kind of like deadpans and has nothing but shit, I'm sorry. Sorry, I swear. I think that was actually his reaction this time around, was, just, and now what do you do? So I'm hoping to kind of put together like a list of things that are nice that you could bring to a friend and ways that you could support a friend. And I'm going to try and include a couple links for like how to watch for signs of depression between you and your partner after a loss. Because that's another big thing that people don't pay a lot of attention to. And the problem with depression is it's harder to notice in you than it is to notice about your spouse. My husband's definitely the one that looked at me a few years ago and said, you know what? You need to go talk to somebody, like right now. We're going to go. You need to go see a doctor. And literally like push me out the door. Not quite literally, but like walk me to the door, handed me my car keys. He's like, you need to go. You need to go do this for you. And it was probably the best thing my husband's ever done for me. So it's kind of what I want to do, and it's something that you guys can share, not necessarily because you're having a miscarriage right now, but just because we need to raise some awareness. Like 1 out of 4 couples has a miscarriage, and nobody knows what to say, and nobody knows what to do, and sometimes there's just no good options. That's a shitty situation to be in. But what are some things we can do for somebody? And I'm not talking like financially gain them in any way, shape, or form. But like, are there foods you would have wished for? Or, would you have appreciated somebody dropping you off like an Uber Eats gift certificate so that you didn't have to go out to go get food and you could just order in stuff and just not do the world for a few days? Which is what I did. I definitely did like some skip the dishes and Uber Eats for about 2 days. I didn't go anywhere. And it was nice just to be able to kind of take care of myself that way. So a journal is another one that a lot of people have been talking about. They would have wished they had a journal to just kind of like write out their thoughts and feelings, even if it didn't make any sense, even if it was just scribbling and anger and depression and sadness and whatever, just to like have it. And Heather's right. The dads are the other part of that equation. You're not one person losing a baby. You're 2 people losing a baby. And are there things, if your husbands are around you, are there things that your husband would have appreciated in order to cope a little bit better too? I asked my husband the same question, and he said that if there were things that would have helped me through the miscarriage, he would have felt a little bit better about it. Just because that's kind of how he rolls. But one of the other girls was saying that her friend had got her like a keychain between her and her husband, so the friend gave it to the woman and the husband that had lost the baby. And it said mom of an angel baby and dad of an angel baby or something along those lines. And I thought it was really sweet. And apparently he got right up, put it on his keychain, like that was it, that was his day. And that kind of, I don't know, just made him feel a little bit better. So I don't know. So throw me some information, some things you would have liked to have seen, and I'm definitely going to do a video about it, just to kind of put it together so we can share it onto the world so that other people know when they're going through miscarriage, or when their friends are going through miscarriage, or a loved one or a family member is going through one, how you can support them through that. So that's kind of it. It's the end of my day. I'm going to talk to you guys later. I love you. Thank you very much for following me. I will talk to you guys later. Okay, bye.